give me a Viper, Beachhead, and version 2 Snake Eyes, and I probably could live without anything else from Super 7's G.I. Joe Ultimate line after this wave. Welcome to Pegwarmers, I'm Kevin, and I'm here to talk about toys. Today, we're digging into Wave 3 of Super 7's G.I. Joe Ultimates. The newest wave just arrived Thursday or Friday, and this is my first chance taking a look at them. They come in their standard boxes with the slip cases, but this time they did not come with the brown mailer boxes. They did have a plastic bag, which I removed just to cut down on noise and glare. But yeah, no mailer boxes anymore. I don't really mind that. I don't even need the slip cover, although now without the brown box, maybe the slip cover is more important. I don't really know. I think these figures are very cool, but very expensive, and you know, if they can keep the cost down, or not have to cut accessories by skimping on the packaging a little bit, that's cool with me. First up, we've got Scarlett, the leading lady of G.I. Joe, one of the 1982 characters, one of my favorite characters from the cartoon, and one of my favorite characters in G.I. Joe lore. The cartoon is what made me interested in Scarlett, because I saw the cartoon show first as a little kid, and they made her a great, like, powerful female character. Like, even when she got captured, she was still fighting back. And then, as I got a little older and started reading the comics, and I went back and tried to read all of the comics, she's a fantastic character, an important part of the G.I. Joe mythos. And so, Scarlett's been one of my favorite G.I. Joe characters for as long as I've been into G.I. Joe. Next up, this guy came with a loose flap here. I'm not a mint collector, so it works out, but Cobra Trooper. You can't go wrong with the blue shirts. They do have a little bit of a distinctive look in the cartoon show. They have the black masks, the blue helmet. They've got the gray web gear and the bright red Cobra symbols. They're sort of almost an amalgamation of the Cobra Officer and the Cobra Trooper. But these guys are really cool, and I did pick up 2 of these because early on in this line, I did a little bit of army building. I bought 2 bats, and I bought 2 Cobra Troopers. But the next wave that should come out has the Crimson Guard in it, and I think I only got 1. These are expensive, and I'm definitely finding that I'm having trouble fitting all my collection into this basement the way I want to. So I haven't been going after, you know, some of these things. I've been starting to cut back and starting to realize I gotta cut corners somewhere in the collecting space. The second Joe, we've got Doc. What's up, Doc? Doc is the first G.I. Joe medic, an early character to add some diversity to the G.I. Joe ranks. Only ever got 1 figure in the vintage line, but is really well remembered, is really popular. He's had, you know, a 25th anniversary mail-away figure. He's in this line. I think he's been announced for classifieds. Doc's a great figure, and I can't wait to check him out. Last but not least, saving probably the most important. Oh, well, maybe Scarlett's most important, but, well, that's the other Cobra Trooper. That's a bad build-up there. Here we go. Possibly the best for last. Stormshadow. In his cartoon-accurate outfit. They do have a hand here with the Arashikage symbol exposed, which is sort of a comic reference. I met Keanu Young, who voiced Stormshadow in the cartoon show, and he was really cool. And I just think that this figure looks fantastic. So we're going to get these out of the package off camera, just so I'm not making so much noise, and we'll get into this. All right, we've got these guys out of the package. I tried to resist playing with them too much as I took all their little parts and pieces out of their blisters, so that way you're truly getting my reaction to these guys. I'm going to start with Doc. So we've got Doc here in his brown military uniform with his little red crosses on his chest and his shoulder. It's a nice looking figure, pretty slender build. The head that he comes with in the package has a helmet on, but that helmet is removable. So you do have 3 different heads that you can use with this figure. The helmeted head is not like an option. Or it is an option for all of them. It's not just like, oh, there's one expression with the helmet and 2 expressions with it off. Well, I'll leave that off for now. I do like that his glasses are a molded-on piece, but they're glued in there. They do have the green lenses, which is really great. I'm going to pull out his other heads here, take a look at them, and try to explain. I tend to find that when there are more than 2 heads, 2 of them tend to look almost identical. And, oops. That is kind of the case. I have 2 very similar heads here for Doc, just sort of like straight, serious faces, and then I've got one yelling kind of Yo Joe head, maybe, he's not saying medic, but maybe he's calling for someone to help him out, or get him blood, or get us out of here, get the evac chopper, that sort of thing. One of his accessories here, comes in 2 pieces, is his little flare launcher. As a kid, I kind of thought it was a mortar, because it looks a little bit like Short Fuse's weapon. But it's a giant flare accessory here that slides into the launcher. It looks basically like his accessory on the vintage figure. And I can hang that over his shoulder. Do you know, Doc didn't come with a stretcher. I think that's kind of the most interesting thing here. But at a 6-inch scale, that stretcher would be a pretty big accessory. Like I've mentioned before with these Ultimates, they tend to give you sort of their vintage action figure accessories as well as sort of more cartoon accessories. They almost giving you 2 looks with these, even though they're still cartoon styled. They're mostly allowing you to make their vintage toy look. But he's missing the stretcher. So, not quite there. He also comes with a satchel. In the 25th anniversary line, Doc came with a satchel, and it was a reuse of the Snake Eye satchel from that, so that might be where they got the idea. It does have a nice tampo on it there with the, the medical serpent staff with the winged. Is that like the Hippocratic seal? I feel like I wasn't paying enough attention when I watched Grey's Anatomy. Doc comes with a comic book. It's pretty generic on the cover. It just says comics. But the inside does show some artwork, some panels. So, I guess he reads comics in a important appearance somewhere in the cartoon that they're referencing there. I don't remember that, but it's also been a few years since I've watched more than an episode or so of the show. Now, Doc comes with a bunch of pairs of hands. He has fists on his figure straight out of the package. He comes with some weapon-holding hands. Probably one of the best usages ever of alternate hands is he has some white hands, so that way he can wear latex gloves, which is a pretty cool idea for a medic. Doc has the classic snow job gun, which most of the characters used in the cartoon. He's also got a small pistol that almost looks like it's an antidote injector or something like that. It's got a pretty large tip to the barrel there. Maybe it's a flare gun. And that fits in his holster on the side of the figure, which is great. He comes with a small cartoon radio. Hard to tell if this is a reused accessory. A lot of the characters have similar little radios and techno bits that they use throughout the cartoon show, and oftentimes they didn't redesign those things, so, Super 7 can release them with multiple figures. And his last real accessory is a little med kit. It's hinged open. It's got scissors and gloves and tape and other supplies in there. That's a nice accessory. It feels a little bit more like Lifeline there than Doc, because Doc didn't have something like that with the original figure. He actually had molded on stuff, a little pack on his stretcher accessory, but it wasn't like a separate piece. But this works out well. Overall, I think Doc is really nicely equipped. I think I would have liked a little bit more variety in the faces that he came with. I would have loved the stretcher, almost maybe more than the flare thing, but, the flare thing's cool. I'm glad he has the helmet. Overall, good figure, glad I picked him up. A character in G.I. Joe lore that doesn't always get made in every line, so that's super cool. I know at the beginning of the episode, I made a comment about, how many more figures I would need to be happy with this line. I really like all of the Super 7 Ultimates from the brands I like. I have so many Ninja Turtles. I have so many Silverhawks. I have so many G.I. Joes. So many Thundercats. But space is starting to kill me, and the price is high. I have some of the Power Rangers, but less of those. I started scaling back when they came out. And I was only collecting Monsters and Zords. And I've had some second thoughts on some of those already. Because I'm getting monsters made in multiple lines. I'm getting kind of carried away. But anyway, it's hard. The Super 7 figures are very expensive. They're very nice, but they are often clearanced out, which is sort of a little kick in the teeth when you go all in and buy the whole wave at full price, and then wait 2 years to get the figures, or wait a year to get the figures. I have Wave 4 ordered for G.I. Joe, which has Zartan in it and the Crimson Guard and maybe some other people. I forget who all might be in that wave. I'll probably continue to get this line. I mean, G.I. Joe is my favorite IP. I have scaled back on Ninja Turtles at this point with where they are in that line. Silverhawks, I have gotten everything so far pretty much, except I didn't get the throne for Moonstar, Plundar, Mumra. Give me the might, the power. I can't think of his name. Moonstar? No. Oh my gosh. How did I forget this guy's name? Oh, that's killing me. Anyway, I have pretty much that whole line. Thundercats, though, is interesting. The newest wave came out for pre-order. It's not a great wave. They got like a spirit version of Mumra from one episode. They've got the Kid Lion-O, which is kind of interesting, but I don't really want to display Kid Lion-O next to Adult Lion-O, necessarily. So I'm not really sure what to do with him. Quick Pick, the cricket guy, he's kind of cool. I kind of like him, but I don't think I'm going to order him. You know, if he goes on clearance, I might grab him. And then Snarfer. If Snarfer wasn't $55, I might be getting him. I bought Snarf for $55. Snarfer, I'm sorry. I just don't love him enough to pay that much money for him. I can't do it. So, we'll see how it goes with G.I. Joe. I am thinking a lot about, the Super 7 O-Ring line. I am so excited for, and I think I will be all in on that. And so sometimes that also makes me wonder is, should I be putting aside money for that line if they're able to crank figures out faster in waves for that line or in bigger waves? I don't really know yet whether they're doing just waves of 4 like this, or if they'll do waves of 6. I think they did announce some figures, the cartoon Duke, the comic Snake Eyes, the big gladiator guy from the first miniseries, and somebody else. So maybe they are sticking to waves of 4. I don't know. But you got to look at your toy budget. You can't overspend. So I'm trying to figure that all out. And that's on my mind as I'm looking through these guys. All right, so next up, I've got the Cobra Soldier here. So the Cobra Soldier only gets one, face, really, but he gets it in 2 skin colors. So they didn't give us lots of expressions, and it's hard to do expressions with the Cobra Trooper. He's wearing a mask. But you can unpeg his head. It's interesting because his whole neck is a removable piece, so you can swap in the other head. And then also, he comes with multiple sets of hands, so the hands match his skin color. And it's not a huge variation in skin color, but it's slight. And I guess that's nice for giving your army a little bit of variation. So if I display both of these guys, maybe I'll display one as the light-skinned guy, and the other guy as the slightly darker light-skinned guy. He comes with fist hands already on, and then a whole bunch of different accessory holding hands. Probably his biggest accessory here is a suitcase bomb, similar to Doc's little medical kit. Oh, doesn't want to open up now? That's what I get for closing it. Well, that's not good. Well, I guess I won't close the one that came with the other trooper. Anyway, there's a little accessory briefcase that opens up, and it's got a gray box with a timer number printed on it and some little wires in there. Maybe I can get some B-roll of that if I can get it open later. He comes with a cool electro whip. It's got a very lightsabery handle. This is definitely a very cartoon weapon, but that's kind of fun. I won't be displaying that with mine, probably, but that's a fun accessory. As I mentioned before, with the, action figure look, as far as the accessories, he comes with the sniper rifle. This has a strap on it, which isn't really the way the action figure looked, but it's the right weapon. He comes with a small little Luger-type pistol, which the Cobras used a lot in the cartoon, and he comes with a larger laser pistol that we've already seen in this line that the Cobra Troopers used a lot in the show, and I always kind of loved this look of this gun in the cartoon show. He's also got a little radio you know, because he's got a radio in the retreat. Cobra Commander says to retreat. And that's really about it. He's got no holsters to hold anything. He does have some pouches. I like his knee pads. Very cartoon accurate there. He's a good-looking figure. The joints on this guy all move really nicely. I mean, that's the one thing that's great with these Ultimates. I feel like, at least this batch, everything has nice joints and everything moves well. Like, I'm not afraid that I'm going to break anything, and I like that, because some toys are really tricky to get to move at the joints. Some of you guys know I broke my Masters of the Universe Classic Swiftwind recently, bending the leg, and that might have just been from age. But he's a good-looking figure. I'm pretty excited to have those Cobra Troopers. Next up, we've got Scarlet, and Scarlet has the same problem as Doc. What is going on with these heads that look exactly the same? I can't even quite tell if they're different. This one almost looks like her eyes are aimed in a little bit more, like she's focusing in on something, and the other one looks more like a standard, like, distance of her eyeballs away. But they look like the same head. I can't figure it out. Why would they do this? Why give me the same head? Her third head option is a very common head in this Ultimates line for the Joes. A headset head with the little microphone, because they all flew the Sky Striker, and they all wore a headset to do it. Again, nice articulation. All the joints seem to be working really well. I don't feel like I'm going to break anything, and I love that. She comes with fists already equipped, so she does have some accessory holding hands as well as some karate chop hands. She came with a pretty large M16. I can't remember if anybody else has come with that in the line, but that's not been a very common accessory. This will be good if they do Footloose at some point, but I kind of like that for her. I don't know if she used it in the cartoon anywhere, but it's possible. She also came with two versions of her crossbow. She's got one that's a little bit more like Chewie's bowcaster. It's a little bit more of a rifle-type accessory with a stock, and there are some times in the cartoon where she's used something a little bit closer to that. And then she comes with a much smaller one that looks more like her vintage accessory. This one's much more of like a pistol grip. Scarlet also has a quiver that you can put on her back. I'm not sure if it's meant to be slung like over her head, which might be the case. Let me try this out. I don't quite remember how she wore it in the cartoon. She didn't always have it on, but sometimes did. You know, getting special bolts. Okay, that fits on pretty good. I think over the shoulder is the way to go. And she comes with 3 small arrows that can fit in there. And then she also has some, like, specialty arrows. And you can fit a lot of these in the backpack, or in the quiver. Not all of them are going to fit in there at once, especially like the one with the big grappling hook tip. That one kind of takes a lot of space, and there's one that has like a unfolding grappling hook with some string on it. That one's also going to take up a little bit of space, but the 3 standard ones definitely could fit in here, and possibly that red. Oops, I grabbed the one with the big tip again. Yeah, so she has all these. I do worry about like her falling over and losing all those little arrows, but it's neat that they're removable. That is a very Ultimates type of thing. And she also has a radio. So at some point I got to pick which hands I want her to have, so I can kind of have her set up. They all come with the fist hands, but I just don't usually leave those fist hands on them, because I want them to be able to be displayed with like an accessory in their hands. I've tried to take this fist out a whole bunch of times. I can't get it to come out, and I don't want the peg to break off inside the arm, so I didn't risk it. And the last figure that I want to talk about, I saved him for last for the reveals out of the package, and I'm saving him for last to talk about here, is Stormshadow. The Cobra Ninja, super popular character, an action figure I wanted so bad as a kid and never had. I never had version 2 Snake Eyes, I never had Stormshadow as a kid, even though they were super popular in the cartoon and in the comics and in pop culture. I got into G.I. Joe just kind of at the wrong time, and or they just sold out if they were around. And so I never got them, and I had trouble finding them at yard sales and flea markets too as a kid. They just were not figures that I had. So he has his sash on and a backpack that is non-removable, but it definitely has a space to hold arrows and his swords. He also definitely has a little slit in his belt for holding and accessory, which looks pretty good. All white gi with the, wraps around his legs, little toe detail there. He's got the wraps on his arms. I didn't try disconnecting this arm yet, but I guess we'll do that. I don't know, that's hard to do. I was going to switch the forearm, but it doesn't want to come out too well, and I don't want to break him. So I'm going to hold off on that, because this is the way I want to display him. If it was a comic book line, then maybe I'd want to display them with the armbands ripped, but because this is a cartoon style, I want to display him like he is in the cartoon, so I want that tattoo covered up, and so I'm just not going to risk it. I wanted to, but it just didn't come off easy, so I'm not going to force it. He comes with a crazy sniper rifle in bright blue. This thing is huge. He's got his bow with a actual elastic string on it, which is pretty cool. I don't know if this attaches to his quiver. I mean, I think I could put the string around it, and then it'll stay on there, which is kind of cool. He definitely came with several arrows, so I could drop them in the quiver. Looking good already. I love this figure, I can tell. This was the one to get from this wave, I think. Although I like Scarlett a lot, too. There's just something fun about having all this equipment and being able to, like, put it on the guy. His swords, the long swords can slide in here. That looks great. He has a very tiny knife, and I think that can go in his front belt. Maybe not. No, I guess you could put a ninja star in the front of his belt. That gives him a lot of ninja stars, though. It gives him 3 ninja stars up there. I thought maybe the little knife was going to fit in there. I am worried about losing that ninja star. He comes with 3 ninja stars, as well as 2 that are, like, sculpted onto him. He has that little knife, like I mentioned, which does not want to go into that spot. All right. He comes with Excalibur. There is a very special episode of the cartoon, very memorable episode, where he gets Excalibur from Lady of the Lake, and so that's here. He's got a pair of nunchucks with real chain. I love that because, again, this is an accessory that the original Stormshadow came with, the original action figure, and like I said, they tend to give them those original accessories to kind of give you that original look. He's got hands to hold accessories. He's got karate chop hands. The last thing he has is sort of a unique head. Again, Stormshadow being masked, there's not a lot of facial expressions you could do for him, but there is a scuba diving mask or a gas mask here with a clear face shield. I think it's like a gas mask, but I don't remember what episode that comes from. But that's kind of fun. Again, a head I will probably never ever use, like the Sky Striker headset heads, but kind of a fun little add-in. I struggled really hard to take the accessory holding hand off of this hand, and when I stuck it on here, it's all loosey-goosey now. I tried one of the other hands. It connected a little better. Okay, I did get this one to pop. So that's now installed correctly. Too bad it's not the hand that I actually wanted. I think that's the hardest part with this line, is, they're these premium toys with premium deco and premium accessories, but where do you draw the line? You justify the price by saying it's all premium, but half the stuff you're giving me I don't really need, I don't really want. I don't need 2 heads that look exactly alike. How much did the head cost? I hear from Toy Guru, who worked on the Master Universe Classics line, that oftentimes the face has as much deco as the whole figure, so, why are you doing up 2 heads that look exactly the same for me? I don't know, I'm not trying to complain, because I really do like this line, but I don't know how to make it more sustainable for them. Like, how do you crank out figures and not burn out the fans on the cost and making characters that people just don't really want? It's neat, and I do like those one-time appearance characters like in Thundercats, but it's tough. It's tough if there's people left behind. My buddy Tony and I, the guy who runs RetroCon, we were talking about, they're doing Snarfer, but not a Burble. When are the Burbles coming? I think a Burble's more popular than Snarfer, but They never made a Snarfer, so I can see that sometimes it's fun to get those first-time characters. I bought Willa for the Thundercats line. She's never had a figure before. She also was in a lot of early episodes. I don't know. It's really hard to make those decisions on character selection, but sometimes I get a little stuck on how they made these choices, what choices they made, what would have been the best choice. So in the comments down below, please give me 4 to 8 G.I. Joe figures you think they need in this Ultimate line. So that means it has to be a character, I believe, from the Sunbow series. They do have Deke rights now for the O-Ring, so I wonder if we could see Deke figures in this line eventually. I don't know. But yeah, I mentioned already Beachhead, Snake Eyes version 2, and the Cobra Viper, so I would love to hear who else you guys think either should round out my wave of 4 there, or who you think should be in the next couple waves. I don't think the 3 I named would ever end up in the same wave. I think they're too popular of characters to all be in the same wave. But you never know. Stormshadow and the Cobra Trooper are in this wave with Scarlett, and Beachhead is not as popular as Scarlett. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I got something else to talk about from new to the collection. Boom. My friends at Playmates Toys sent me these 2 figures. These guys are from Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire, right? The next Godzilla movie coming out. I love Godzilla. I don't know if you guys know this about me. I don't talk about Godzilla a whole lot on the channel, but I grew up really enjoying Godzilla movies. My friends and I made a Godzilla fan film when we were in high school / freshman year of college, and it took the first place in the International G-Fest Godzilla fan film contest in 2002. That was a lot to say for some reason. But I'm excited for this new movie. And so they sent me Evolved Godzilla and Kong with Beast Glove, which I like to call the Power Glove when I look at it. These are pretty cool figures. I'm actually going to be doing a bigger review on this line with Tony from Hack the Movies, because he has a Godzilla podcast as like a secondary channel. And so we're going to look at this line in more detail. So that's the reason I'm not opening them now. These guys will appear again on the channel. But we've got King Kong. He's got some battle damage scars on him. He's got this bright yellow power fist kind of thing, the Beast Glove. He's got an additional accessory over here. I'm not totally sure what it is. Some sort of mechanical device. But he looks pretty cool. Let's see what it says. Oh, Biomimic HEAV. So I think it's a little ship in reality here. Godzilla and Kong return in an all-new adventure, pitting the almighty Kong and the fearsome Godzilla against a colossal, undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging the very existence of our own. Fully articulated and posable. The Beast Glove, Bio-Enhanced Antomech Seismic Thunder Glove. Woo! He's going to be armed with his ancestral axe and a prototype battle gauntlet that enhances his earth-shattering primal strength. Kong roars into battle, packing a meteor impact with every punch. Have you guys seen the little baby set? This is hilarious. I gotta get it. They're babies. They're so cute. And then we've got Godzilla Evolved. He comes with a heat ray accessory. He's got these bright pink spikes. Godzilla has evolved into an all-new form. Now, faster, stronger, and more powerful, Godzilla thunders into battle with a supercharged heat ray and city-destroying tail swipe. Ferocious. On first examination, I think Kong looks like the cooler toy. Godzilla is hard to, articulate, and his head is so tiny that I think the toys always look kind of funny. But I think my biggest complaint might be he's got these translucent spikes on his back, but the tail, there's just like a paint app. Cheaping out a little bit. But I still have to thank my friends at Playmates for sending these over. These are cool. These will be fun for kids to play with. And I can't wait to look at the whole line with Tony from Hack the Movies later. If you guys missed last week's episode, I talked about if G.I. Joe went to sci-fi in 1986. Thought the episode turned out well. People seem to be responding to it. If you missed that one, I highly recommend you checking it out. And I really appreciate you watching this episode all the way to the end. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so, leave a comment down below, share this video with a toy collecting friend, and as always, thanks for hanging on the peg with me.